Hey guys, I'm back. I'm back at my setup. I'm glad to be here. I finally can get you your regularly scheduled programming, and it's glad to record it. Little late, past that after work, but regardless, y'all are getting your video. So let's get right into it. Start out with some injuries. Brandon Ingram is going to be out for a couple weeks, and Franz Wagner is going to be out 4 weeks and has the same injury as Paolo Banchero. He's going to be like 4 to 6 weeks with a torn right oblique. Absolutely hate to see it. For the Emperors, it's kind of good if Paolo comes back soon. I think it's projected December 19th or something like that. But he's ramping up. It was weird this past week. It's a day-to-day for him, and then it went back to out, but no update was given for him, so I don't know what's up with that. But he's ramping up. And let's get into our record broken this week. There's one with Jokic, but it's fucking Jokic, whatever. Chris Paul, second all time, passes Jason Kidd for total assists, and it was to Wemby for 3 from an inbounds pass. And it was awesome to see. After the game, he got a giant like plaque-esque thing with pictures of him from the Hornets, or I guess the Bobcats at the time, and like several other teams. And it was just cool to see. It was cool to see. Especially since Wemby hit the 3 to give him his 12,092 hit assist. Like, that's weird to see such a young player hit that, 20 years from now, we're going to probably forget about that and be like, oh, wait, yeah, that was the guy to give Chris Paul his second place in assists. I don't believe he's going to reach John Stockton. Almost 16,000 is hard to imagine someone's going to do, but props to him. For LeBron, honestly, I give it a 50-50 to pass Jason Kidd. Will he hit 800 more assists in the next year or two? I don't know. It's not like he's averaging 10. I think he's averaging 7 or 6. I can't remember. I haven't checked LeBron's stats in a bit. Regardless, on to our trades. 2 of them I didn't make a graphic for because they weren't as recent. Team Emperors traded Dante DiVincenzo for a 2026 second round pick to Web Warrior. The team Dam traded Miles Turner, or traded Kristaps Porzingis and Reed Shepherd and a 2026 first round pick to also Web Warrior for Miles Turner and Stephen Castle, not sure. And that's kind of interesting. We'll see how that rocks out. Team Dam is trying to collect 2025 picks, so those don't really help. So let's go into our 2 most recent trades, and we'll start with Team Dam getting those 2025 picks. He's trading to Pack Nicely. He's giving up Lauri Markkanen and Scottie Pippen Jr. for Pack Nicely's first and second round picks in the 2025 draft and Team Army Jr.'s 2025 second round pick. Team Dam's just collecting these like it's chocolate. Like at a certain point, you're gonna get your stomach's gonna ache with all that sugar. But we'll see. I mean, there's only gonna be 7 rounds, I believe, in next year's draft, and I believe he has 9 picks in the first 3 rounds. So that's gonna be wild. He's gonna have like double the amount of players than some other teams, which I think is freaking hilarious. On to our next trade. We have I Could Go For a Beer trades with the Emperors, giving up Tyus Jones and Keegan Murray for Ivica Zubac. And I think this was a pretty fair trade. Zubac is having the best season of his career. At age 27, he still has room to continue that. I think he's averaging a little under 30 points, maybe like 27. And as for Keegan Murray and Tyus Jones, I think it's great for the Emperors. They're averaging around 20 a night, which is the needed depth for the Emperors. But at the same time, Keegan Murray's a young player. He's a young gun. He's only 24, and I could see him being a keeper for this team. Other than that, let's hop into our games. Let's hop into our games. After that, so here's some standings and a new stats page. These games, I didn't want to belabor with like those specific stats, so I'm gonna have a stats page that I'll explain when I get to, and then we'll have Fagan's list. So I'll see y'all in a second. And I'm back. Speaking of the Emperors doing that trade, they absolutely were buns this week and could have won yet again, but their fucking GM sucks. Can't pick games for his life. Jimmy Butler was their best player, but just wasn't enough for the Kanto Embers, who won by a solid almost 70 points. Props to SGA almost dropping 35. On to our next game. Team Dam lost to Team Lobster. Freaking embarrassing. I didn't think there could be a day where I'd see Team Lobster beat a team. If I were to be honest, they were at like consistently at 170 to 150. But they did it. And the only reason they did it is because Team Dam only played 4 players, which is blasphemous. It's absolutely blasphemous. It's really, I would hate to be a fan of Team Dam right now, because yes, maybe it's good for the future, but you lost to Team Lobster, and you're putting yourself a little bit further out of playoff contention. Now this begs the question: are you going to lose to Team Lobster again when you go to play them again, or when you go to play Packed Nicely? Are you gonna try and beat them? So there's that. But Jaylen Brown, 33 points with a 35.9 is pretty solid, and Tyrese Halliburton, MVP of Team Lobster, helping get that dub with 23 points, 8 assists, and 4 rebounds. Props to Team Lobster though; they stuck through it. They didn't let anybody phase them. They got their dub. And they're that much closer to turning that franchise around. All right, before we get into the next game, I wanted to show our highlight, and here it is from Team Dam. Let's hop right into it. It's fucking one of the craziest dunks I've seen all season, maybe in the last freaking 5 years. The score was 78-68, so it's still decently close, but like, what the fuck? That was a crazy fucking dunk. And if only fucking it was Ja dunking it again. I want to see a fucking replay. Look at this shit. He just floats. Oh man. Absolutely disgusting, dude. Bam! Oh. Just absolutely wow. Oh, let me. Bam, dude. How do you like? That's just athletic ability. Fucking crazy, dude. Oh my god. And I thought that one dunk that Anthony Edwards had one season was crazy. Where he fucking dislocated his finger. But that one, he literally is just floating. But let's get back into our next game. See y'all later. On to our next game, Corey Shower versus the Mog Squad. And we see our top dog of the week, LeBron, dropping 59 fantasy points on a 40-point triple-double. But it wasn't enough to beat the Mog Squad. Mog Squad won by like 15, 223 and a quarter to 207.38. Cat dropped 27-16. Absolute props to this game. This game was pretty good. A lot of Corey's players played pretty sure Saturday, Sunday, so it was really unknown if the Mog Squad was going to pull through. On to our next game, Team Web Warrior played the Fraggle Rock 9 in a surprising turn of events, but it's starting to become a trend, sadly, for Fraggle Rock 9. Fraggle Rock 9 dropped 180 and lost. Team Web Warrior dropped 215 on the back of Walker Kessler, dropping almost 38. He's been really solid this year. I think this is third top dog for the team or something like that. Been really good. And, Web Warrior is going to be a sneaky team to take out some of these teams that are hurting for sure. On to our next game. Pack Nice plays the Codfather. Codfather handled business on Tar Easton's back with 16 points, 12 rebounds, 30-point night. You know, good to see that for the Codfather. They're still sticking to the guns. I believe they're second in points for now, and so nobody can really question how they're playing. Honestly, they're championship ready almost, barring any injury. Brandon Ingram, who might not be good, but I think Brandon Ingram only dropped like less than 20 points in this week, so Codfather might be fine without him. On to our next game. Teams got to change that to Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas played Team Army Junior and mollywopped him. Absolutely beat him by like 50. Anthony Davis, as you can see, was our number 3 top dog. Dropping almost 46. Russell Westbrook had a pretty solid night. Almost had another triple-double, dropping 35 fantasy points. And a not so bad week for Team Army Junior, but Gilbert Arenas absolutely played lights out. And this is the danger of Gilbert Arenas. When they're playing hard, they can turn it up and be a top team in this league, but they got to play hard to do it, Like they got to make sure everybody's in it to win it, But regardless, good win for Gilbert Arenas, and let's move on to our last game, which was I Could Go for a Beer versus Harlem Globetrotters, an absolute heater of a contest. Jokic dropped another 50-point fantasy week with him being the second top dog. I will say I Could Go for a Beer missed a couple opportunities with I think he had a 56-point night, which was like second all time in Nuggets history for points. That probably dropped a pretty penny. But regardless, solid win. I felt bad as commissioner. I just want to formally apologize to I Could Go for a Beer and I Could Go for a Beer fans. I shouldn't have processed that trade. They had Keegan Murray set to play against the Spurs in like maybe less than 30 minutes, and I should have checked that. That's on me. But they get the winner anyway. The help from the commissioner didn't help the Harlem Globetrotters at all. They were half a point short of 200, and Jason Tatum just couldn't help. It was a point off from a triple-double. And with that, those are our games. Let's get into our standings. Our newly adjusted set standings for Week 7. Mog Squad's still up top. Then it's the Codfather, Canto Embers, and I Could Go for a Beer. Kind of similar wrap. The only change is actually towards the bottom. And as we can see, we're starting to see some separation. 1 and 4 now has a 2-game lead on 5 and the rest of the league. Now, as for the 8th seed and 9th seed are tied based on points for, and it's still between the 8th seed and last place. It's still a two-game difference. So really early in the season, things could change around for some teams, and I'm hoping for it for Team Emperors. But interesting to see. A lot of these teams up top are running away with it, and they don't look to be slowing down. If I were to give my predictions, I think Gilbert Arenas might make a run for it. I think Team Web Warrior may make a run for it. And the teams that see falling, I'm sorry, Frag Rock 9. It looks like you might be falling. Same with, I think I'm going to call it Corey Shower. Even though they have LeBron and Wemby, I see a cold run in their future. And here I get into our new segment, our stats page. Let me get over here. Now, I'm not going to show this every week. I think it's going to be, I want to do it every 5 weeks. So if it were a clean slate of a season, it would be week 5, 10, 15, and 20. And this is called Between the Stats. And in the background, I'm going to keep track of your best, I forgot to do DAWG, but your best dog, which is your best player, and how many times they were your best player. So, for instance, at the top here with the Mog Squad, and the Mog Squad has Karl Anthony Towns as their best player for 4 weeks of their season. Absolutely balling for him. But their top dog record has a different story, and that top dog record is, for that given week, your top dog, say it's Karl Anthony Towns, against the top dog you're playing against. Whoever has more points gets the win, gets the loss, or if they have the same points, they tie. And in those matchups, the Mog Squad is 1-5-1. They've only had the best top dog, only had a better top dog against their opponent once. At the same time, though, you go to the next stat. Over 200 record is record for when you score more than 200 points. And the Mog Squad scored 200 points every game this season, and it's the only team to do that so far. And the record shows they've been balling. They've only lost once, and they still scored 200 points for it. Now, you go to your next stat, and the number of games over projected is 0. 0. And I don't know, this could be a myriad of things, obviously. Maybe, sleepers, like, obviously projecting way too much. But what this really, I think, tells more is that the Mog Squad really can't put the pieces all together at once in the same week, which is incredibly dangerous for this league. Incredibly dangerous. If not one week they hit over their projected, that's scary. That's scary. Now, to be fair, some weeks I will say Mog Squad's projected is like 238, and that's hard to do. That's hard to do. But to not do it once yet and still be 6-1, that's scary. I'd be fearful to play against them. But to go over more of these stats, for the number of games over projected, the top people are Codfather, Kanto Embers, and the Emperors. These are the teams that beat their projected. And kind of different stories for each of them. The Emperors are all the way down at the bottom. They're 1-3 and they're over 200 point game record. And it sucks for them. But on the flip side, for the Codfather and Kanto Embers, they're absolutely balling. 4-1 and 5-1 when they score 200 points. Just absolutely, that's what you want to see it from a winning team. Some other wild stats are leaders for their top dog is Jokic and Giannis. Jokic being on I Could Go For A Beer and Giannis being on Pack Legacy, both being their top dog 6 out of the 7 weeks. Pretty interesting to see. Pretty interesting strategy. And if you look below for Pack Nicely, because of Giannis, their top dog record is 6-1. Because Giannis just puts up like 50 points a night. And if you look below, and I'm sorry, Team Lobster fans, but it's a little abysmal. At least you have more games over your projected against the Mog Squad by 1, but your top dog record being 0-6-1, and you haven't scored over 200 points a game this season, it is not looking good for you. And you might need to go seek a godly figure. But altogether, this is what my plan is. Instead of having those stats between games and me going over them and like freaking being whatever, belaboring the point on each of these games, I'm gonna have these every 5 weeks that like go into detail, and I might add more or less stats. We'll see, or maybe I'll change it up. But switching up, let me get rid of this. Now with that, we're gonna get into Fagan's list. This week it's a little bit different. We had Team Dam do ungodly action of only leaving 4 players in his lineup on purpose. So that will be interesting to see how Fagan ranks that. I'll see you on the other side. Yeah, so that was Fagan's list. Team Dam absolutely got roasted there. I mean, you lose the Team Lobster, this is what you should expect, or anytime you lose to the bottom team of the league that hasn't won yet for the first 6 weeks. Funny as fuck. Let me get into my final points and then I'll let y'all go. This next week is going to be pretty interesting. The quarterfinals and semifinals for the in-season tournament is messing up, schedules. So there's only going to be players with like 1 or 2 games this week. Some players who have 1 game and then are in the in-season tournament. They play on, I think they play tomorrow. They play on Tuesday, and if you want to play them, go for it. Go, pick Tuesday. But I will warn you, what you could do is you play a player that you don't want to play, but you put him pick the Sunday game. And then if you think your player who's in that in-season tournament game will win, like their team will win, you can put them back into the lineup for that guy you don't want to play, and then pick that next game, which I believe the semifinals are on Saturday, and you can pick that matchup. As for me, I don't think I'm going to be taking advantage of that. I have Lou Dort, so I'm probably just going to play him Tuesday against the Mavs. It's like a good matchup. We'll see. I'm probably going to bite my freaking lip or tongue. Bite my tongue, not my lip. I mean, unless you want me to bite my lip. But but I'll probably bite my tongue. But that's a little game you can play with that. This week's going to be a little bit polarizing just because there's not as many games, which, for the Emperors may be good. The lack of decision will probably help us, but for other teams, it may hurt them. It may hurt them. Overall, glad to be back. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.